We need to talk about a seismic shift that's happening right now in the world of work. And no, I'm not just talking about some new tools or a fancy piece of software. We're talking about a fundamental rewrite of what it even means to have a career, to build a business, to create value. And it's all being driven by the rise of artificial intelligence.
So let's just start with a really bold statement, one that might even feel a little unsettling. The traditional career path, you know the one. You join a company, you climb the ladder, you work in a big team for decades. Well, that's effectively over. The stability, the structure that we all just took for granted, it's dissolving right before our eyes.
But here's the twist. The force that's driving all this change isn't just AI replacing jobs. I mean, that's the story we hear all the time, right? The real story is so much deeper. It's more complex, and honestly, it's way more interesting. It's about how AI isn't just removing work, it's completely changing who gets to do the work.
To really get a handle on where we're headed, we first have to understand what was so broken about the old game. So in this first part, we're going to deconstruct that traditional team-based model and really expose the cracks that AI is now just blowing wide open.
This just hits right at the heart of a feeling we've all had, right? So much of corporate life has been defined by this low-value, high-effort work. It's the endless sea of emails, the manual data entry, the reports you have to generate over and over again. It's the kind of work that fills up your entire day but doesn't actually move the needle on anything important. And it's the #1 cause of burnout.
And this feeling connects directly to what the data is showing us. According to the World Economic Forum, look at the roles that are declining the fastest. They are precisely the ones built around that soul-crushing busy work. See, AI isn't coming for high-level strategy. Not yet. It's coming for the administrative, the repetitive tasks that have bogged down entire teams for decades.
And this isn't just about a few tasks here and there. The entire economic engine of this $6 trillion professional services industry is just sputtering out. The model that has governed law firms, consultancies, agencies for more than half a century is fundamentally, fatally flawed for the age of AI.
And this right here, this is the core of the problem. The old model, the billable hour, it actually incentivizes being inefficient. A firm literally makes more money the longer a task takes. But what happens when AI can do a 10-hour task in 10 minutes? The billable hour actually punishes you for being efficient. So the shift, the one that's happening right now, is towards value-based pricing. You're not paid for your time anymore. You're paid for the result you deliver.
Okay, so let's really dive into this because this is where we hit the first major mental shift. We absolutely have to stop seeing AI as a replacement and start seeing it for what it is. The ultimate form of leverage. It's a tool that creates a state that some are starting to call superagency. So what is superagency? Well, McKinsey defines it as a state where one person armed with AI can dramatically amplify their own output. This isn't about being replaced by a machine. It's about you becoming a superpowered version of yourself, where your ideas, your skills, can be scaled almost infinitely.
And this leads us to the real-world application of superagency, the rise of the AI solopreneur. And this is not some niche idea anymore. We're talking about a one-person business that leverages a whole suite of AI tools to operate with the power and the reach of a much, much larger company. They are the marketing department, the development team, and the customer service desk all rolled into one.
And just look at the difference here. The old way to scale a business was just scale your headcount. More customers? Hire more support staff. New product? Hire more developers. The new model scales with technology, not with people. A single person can now build, market, and support a product for thousands of customers with the right AI stack. It's a total game changer.
So this new model, this AI solopreneur, it completely rewrites the economics of work. If you're not selling your time anymore, what exactly are you selling? And how in the world do you price it?
This table just lays out the whole transformation perfectly. The old game was all about billing for hours, selling your time, and hiring more people to get more work done. The new game? It's about pricing based on outcomes, selling concrete results, and scaling your impact with technology. It's a massive shift from "here's what I did for you" to "here's what I achieved for you."
So let this really sink in. The crucial point is this. Your earning potential is no longer tied to the 40, 50, or 60 hours you can physically work in a week. It's now tied to the size of the problem you can solve, amplified by the efficiency of your tools. Your value is about leverage, not labor.
Okay, so far we've covered the what and the why, but how do you actually do this? This next section is where we shift from just analyzing the problem to taking action. This is the playbook for building your own one-person venture in this brand new landscape.
Look, the top-performing solopreneurs, they're not just winging it. They follow a very clear strategic pattern. It starts with building something, a minimum viable product, usually with no-code tools. Then, they automate all the repetitious workflows. But the most critical steps, where the real leverage is hidden, are in distribution and scaling.
And this brings us to the second, and maybe the most important cognitive upgrade we need to make. For decades, the hardest part of launching anything was actually building the thing. You needed technical skills, you needed capital. But today, with AI, almost anyone can build something. The new bottleneck, the real competitive advantage, is distribution. Can you get anyone to actually notice what you've built?
And the numbers on this are stark, and they're really counterintuitive. According to research from Promit AI, the most successful solopreneurs are now spending the vast majority of their time, a full 70%, on distribution. That means creating content, building an audience, marketing. Because in a world where everyone can make a product, the person who has the audience is the person who wins.
Now, I know that might sound intimidating, but here is the really good news. Thriving in this new world, it doesn't mean you have to go back to school and become a coder or a machine learning expert. What it requires is a new, much more accessible skill set, AI literacy.
The U.S. Department of Labor actually breaks AI literacy down into 4 key pillars. First, you have to understand what AI can and, just as importantly, can't do. Second, you got to learn how to direct it, how to write effective prompts. Third, you need the critical thinking skills to evaluate what it gives you, to check for accuracy and bias. And finally, you have to learn to use it ethically and responsibly. This right here, this is the new curriculum for being professionally relevant.
So, we've covered the collapse of the old model, the rise of the AI-powered individual, and the playbook you can use to navigate this new world. And that brings us to the end of our explainer, and to one final question that really reframes this entire conversation.
Think about it. The common narrative that AI is a job killer, that's a story about fear and helplessness. But the reality is that AI is democratizing the ability to create on a scale we have never seen before. It is the ultimate co-founder. It's your tireless developer, your brilliant data analyst, your 24/7 marketing assistant. The barriers to entry for building something truly meaningful have never, ever been lower. So the only question left is the one right here on the screen. What will you